I am Bryce Newberger, and this is the Kinship Chronicles, Children of the Phoenix. Chapter 39. King Draconin stared at his ancient enemy through the portal that separated their two dimensions. It has been a long time since the Creator banished me from your world. As he spoke, the room seemed to dim. Candles flickered out, and a shadow encompassed the room. His voice was smooth and silky like a young politician, but there was a deeper bass tone behind it. "Get back, Eldrich. Do not listen to him speak," Melky warned. His halo returned, and his armor sparkled into view. Angelic wings of light shielded the young boy from seeing any more of the monstrous yet attractive Draconic. Draconin began again. "The last thing I saw was your face. I've grown to miss you, Melky. You know, that creator of yours stopped me mid-sentence." "Do not speak your blasphemy here," commanded the elder. "Oh, but I've spent thousands of years fulfilling that sentence. My will be done. Magic now rules as the foremost power in the world." Melky scoffed. "You know there is a power above all powers. It was not magic that sealed you away." Draconin nodded as if he were mockingly acknowledging the valid point. "But magic will undo the will of your creator." Cal ducked left and right to avoid his master's sight, but the lifeless eyes seemed to track the boy. Grexis had lost all composure and was cackling in his unrestrained joy. Dazon made a slight movement of his own. His face jerked with resistance. Fire, water, wind, earth, light, shadow. Dazon forced his brain to reel with all the information on magic he had gathered. He was no longer compartmentalizing the data he held in his mind. "Welcome, Grexis. Fire's 3 parts, oxygen, heat, fuel, to my mind." The Archmage smirked. "Yes, that is it. Reveal all to me. As you wish." The main forms of precipitation include drizzle, rain, sleet, snow, and hail. Precipitation occurs when a local portion of the atmosphere becomes saturated with water vapor. Cal wasn't sure what was going on. He braced his back against the wall and kept his hand on his small short sword. Grexis shook his head as sweat began to form at his temples. "No! What is the secret? Give me the key!" Positively charged ions are called cations, and negatively charged ions are called anions. Photon is an elementary particle, the quantum of light, and all other forms of electromagnetic radiation. Prismatic colors are the colors that can be seen when white light goes through a prism. Dazon's mind spewed the information like a Rolodex spiraling down a staircase, scattering a plethora of information randomly in every direction. Grexis shook his head and braced himself against the wall. "Stop! Stop!" His mind yelled the command at the humans in the room. His fury burned in front of him like steam. The slick wetness slid down his surface. Was it sweat or water? He wasn't sure what his form was composed of anymore. He exhaled in exasperation. Wind is caused by differences in air pressure. Air is simply rushing from high pressure to lower ones. Dazon and Cal were blown off their feet as breath tore through the room like a torrent. Grexis shook his head as if trying to get thoughts to fly out of his brain. Instead of moving like a normal man, his whole body had the jitters, like how one would see a madman shake at an asylum. "What's wrong, Grexis?" Dazon teased as he rose up again. "Has your hunger for power finally caused you to bite off more than you can stomach?" The Archmage held up his hand. No, 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 no. He wasn't sure if his reply was out loud or internal or both. The terror who was once the Archmage looked up in pure insanity. "No, no, 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 no," he said over and over as steam and electricity emanated from him. Melchizedek began to ignore the Draconic before him and inspect the portal. Somehow a mirror had been turned into this gateway. He wasn't sure if there was glass between their dimension and Draconin's. The picture was in perfect clarity, but he didn't dare reach out and test it. "Magic cannot undo the Creator's will," he added to the argument. "Dragons will rule the sky once more. My children will be free, and my magic will overrun the Creator," Draconin gloated. Eldrich stepped through the wings of light to watch the happenings. The dark being's power attracted him and mesmerized him. He wondered, who is he really? Melky caught the thought of Eldrich and decided it was time to act. He stepped forward with a mighty swing of his sword and shattered the mirror without further argument. "Time to go, Eldrich." Dazon was finally free from the mind control. His plan to let Grexis into his head had worked. The Archmage was no more. There was only this muttering idiot of a terror in front of them. Now all he had to do was kill the terror and get out. This, however, was proving to be difficult as Grexis was manifesting a wide range of magical talents. Dazon couldn't get close to Grexis without receiving a lethal shock. He thrust a throwing knife at his target, but the kinetic energy was halted by a mix of electrical discharge and wind. The weapon was tossed aside as if it had been fired from a bow and stuck into the wall above Cal. Dazon slammed his sword hard between the powerful opponent's feet. The electricity clung to it like a lightning rod as Dazon then rushed in for the kill. Grexis caught the assassin with a torrent of wind. "No!" yelled the Archmage as he slammed Dazon against the floor. A host of guards rushed in through the door. They were at first shocked at the death scene of the murdered family. After a brief pause for their minds to recover from the horrific tragedy, they aimed their crossbows and fired upon the black-clad rogue. Dazon was pierced by many shafts of wood before Cal refused to remain helpless as his master perished. His grief manifested into a visible shockwave from his mind that hit everyone in the room. As the pulse of energy interacted with those in the chamber, they all fell unconscious, even Grexis. Cal rushed over to his mentor and hefted him over his shoulder. Dazon was bleeding profusely. The two made their way over to the balcony where the king had recently shown his children the kingdom from. Now this young boy looked out over the expanse. It was his turn to take what had been bequeathed to him. Cal braced himself and jumped from the tower, clutching onto Dazon. The guards awoke a few moments later and looked about the room for signs or tracks of the intruders who, they assumed, murdered the royal family. One of these guards sat the Archmage up and asked, "Sire, are you all right?" "No," replied Grexis with a glazed look over his face. "Are you hurt? What are your wounds, sir?" A look of recollection spread over Grexis's visage as he turned towards the guard, and he seemed to come to his senses. "Oh, I will be just fine." Eldrich followed his rushed master into the hall. Guards were running about frantically. Melky had transformed back into Mel the moment the mirror was smashed. Eldrich wondered what side of the argument was true. This hermit seemed capable of great deeds, but also let great evil roam unchecked because he claimed it wasn't his fight. This other man, Draconin, seemed only to wish to rule and to crave power, but he was also going to free his children. Both paths seemed flawed to him. Eldrich determined then that there must be a better balance between the two. Mel turned towards him. "I will explain everything to you when we get out of here. But right now, I need you to focus and follow me," he commanded. "I will follow you, master." Eldrich replied both literally and symbolically. This elder would teach him to be a great swordsman, but he wondered what exactly he would do with his talent. A sentry passed the two, then halted. "Sir, you must come with me." Mel looked poised to strike, yet unassumingly casual. "What is going on?" he asked, expecting to hear of his own deeds repeated back in third person. He was surprised then when the guard responded with the statement, "The royal family has been slain. Grexis is now king." Thank you for listening. I'm Bryce Newberger, and this has been the Kinship Chronicles, Children of the Phoenix. If you enjoyed what you heard and you'd like to purchase the full book, then either look up New Books on the Google Play bookstore, NEU Books, or simply click the link in the description. The book is only $5, and I appreciate your support.